Hello, I'm Matt Wicks for SSW TV, and you've joined us live at NDC Sydney 2018 for another Ask Me Anything session. I'm joined by Jessica Engström, a Windows Development MVP and global speaker. She runs a user group, podcast, and many hackathons, her favorite topics being UX UI, mixed reality, and other futuristic tech. Jessica, thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
So I hear you've been working with voice UIs for about 16 years now?
Yeah, we started out thanks to Star Trek, I would say. We thought it was so cool that they could say computer dim lights. So we went out and we imported units from the UK. They were super expensive back then, and people couldn't really believe why we needed to do that. And we bought microphones, you know those old-fashioned microphones you had to your desktop?
Yeah.
We put them and hang them on wires all over our living room, so we could say computer dim lights. Worked around 50% of the time.
Yeah?
Wasn't that reliable.
But things have improved in the last 16 years.
Oh yes, it has. The machine's understanding of human speech, the error rate has gone down tremendously. We are down to, I think Microsoft is in the lead for now, when they are down to 5.1% error rate, which is kind of funny because humans have an error rate of 6%. So they understand us a tiny little bit better than we do.
But we don't trust them.
No, we don't trust them.
I wonder why that is.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Too much science fiction?
Too much watching of Space Odyssey.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is it safe to say that they're not just a trend? They're going to be around for a while? Oh,
they are going to be around for a while. There are actually people who think that we will have fewer and fewer screens. Some say even we won't have any screens at all. Maybe we will have visors, maybe we will just use our voice and machine learning and things around us. Both Gartner and Chromecast are predicting that by the year 2020, we will use voice in a completely different rate. I think there's a study that says that 75% of all American households will have a smart speaker in their home.
Yeah.
And already today, 95% of all smartphone users actually have tried to use voice on their digital assistant in their phone.
I certainly have, and I remember we took a trip down to my parents, and my mum had just got a Google Home device. Oh, yeah. And my daughter was playing with it, asking it questions left, right, and center, like, yeah. What's your favorite My Little Pony, and all these things. Are our children going to be using, are they just going to be used to this as it being normal, whereas it's new for us?
I think so. If we look at the trends on how children today, if you give them a laminated piece of paper, they will try to actually touch it, because they are born into a world where everything was touch, everything was interacting. If we look to that trend, that will also be true for voice, just telling the computer what to do. Didn't you have a similar thing with Chromecast and the Google Assistant, right?
Yeah, I heard somewhere that the person was streaming a movie from YouTube with their Chromecast, and then they ask Google Assistant, who's that on the screen, and it just had no idea what was going on. And thinking, this is all Google products. They should all be talking to each other. No wonder we don't trust them.
Yeah, there's that. Well, I think they're working on it. We are making huge improvements every single day. So any of these days now, any day now.
So vocal UIs, they sound cool. Should I just be slapping it on my app, or what's the process around this?
Well, you can, but the user interface will probably be not optimal or not optimized for your product. I usually say that you need to figure out, first and foremost, will the user actually benefit from a voice user interface? Or is it just cool to try out the new Alexa APIs or Cortana or what have you? Because it is cool and it's very nice to have that. But that being said, do you just want to show that you're cool, or do you actually want them to benefit from it? So ask yourself that question first. And then you need to analyze, what is it that my bot will be best at? What is the main focus? What is the problem I'm trying to solve, or what is it that I'm trying to make more easy for the user? And focus on that one thing from the beginning. Then you can add on things later on, but if you focus on that, there will be no confusion to what your chat is about or what your bot main focus is.
Okay, so when you're trying to work out what is that killer question, would you put it as?
Yeah, could
or
be.
The killer feature
yeah.
for your bot? There are obviously lots of different ways to ask questions to these things. How do you go about deciding which questions you're going to ask, or how do you make it discoverable for the user to understand what they can ask the bot?
There are a few things you can do. First of all, hone it down to that one thing that you're best at, or a few things, if you will. Then you can actually write a script. Try to write a script of the top 5 things that you can do with your bot. This will help you to see what the user can answer and what the bot will actually tell the user, and you will have that interaction, and preferably read it out loud with a friend or a coworker, because that will be you will be catching all those awkward conversations that looks great on paper, but when you say them, they will be a little bit stilted or off. So you can do that, and also you will try to catch all those. Oh, you can ask me that as well. Oh, how do I handle this? And the next step would be to sketch out the flow of the whole interface, the whole bot. So let's say you're a bot that can tell departure times for commuters. Then you have different ways you can actually ask for when does the next bus leave, when does the next bus arrive, and how long until the next bus comes. You can say that in different ways, which we usually refer to as oh, I'm blanking here. Utterances. Yep. Sorry. So those are utterances for the same thing, and you can group those together when you're sketching it out. So all those things, we have one single intent. So an intent is a bunch of utterances, and so you don't have to sketch out every single utterance. So you just sketch out, hi, when does the next bus leave? Or the bot can ask you a question, do you want to know when the next bus leaves? Then you have a yes and a no, so you sketch that out. And then you have the actual answer and what you can answer and what you can ask the bot as well. So you can actually benefit from sketching out the flow of the app as well. Okay.
It sounds like you'd want to be capturing like what people are asking the bot.
Yes.
And getting those analytics, so you may ask the question one way, I'll ask it a different way.
Definitely.
Of course, you can try and crowdsource some things, but until you put it out in production, you never really know if you've caught everything.
Oh yeah, that is true. We started out building a bot, I think it was 2006 or something, for MSN Messenger. You could do a bot, which was before we had all these cognitive services that can help us with the analyzing of things. So we had to, this was a bot for TV listing. So you can chat and just ask when is the next Friends episode, and we tell you what channel and what time and what have you, so you don't miss it. The problem is that we had to read all the transcripts because people were asking some very weird things. And also different ways that we did not think about. It could be slang or differences depending on where you live and things like that. So we had to analyze that. So we were constantly adding ways to say the same thing. But back then, it was XML. So that grew quite quickly. So yeah, that is a good way to look. You are not done when you're done with your bot. When you have released it, you're not done. You need to go back and look at the transcripts and what people are actually asking. And there are services that can help you find out the intent of a text. So you can just feed that to a machine and they will actually come up with that for you if you don't want to do it manually.
Cool. Yeah, I think you had an example in your talk where my favorite animal is, and it was meant to be raccoon, but balloon. You may pick up balloons. So those types of responses. You'd really want to be focusing in on the right answer.
Yeah, exactly, because those are constrained responses. So if you ask for like in that example, your favorite animal, and you only have cats and dogs in your database, you will miss things like kangaroos and raccoons. And also you get from the machine, you will get back a list, which is called NBEST list in most cases, which will basically give you the confidence of, I think you said this, but you might have said this or this, but I'm pretty sure it didn't say that. So Balloon happens to be the most, that was the highest. So if you don't actually analyze or look at what you need to parse through that list, because otherwise you would have said that your favorite animal was a balloon when it in fact was a raccoon. There are balloon animals, but I don't think they count. So
yeah, maybe not. So when you're talking about AI and the personalization of it, would you be wanting to give it your bot like a friendly name or a normal name, or do you want to call it Body McBotface? How do you attack those types of problems?
Yeah, there are there are no wrong ways in that. I prefer a more personal approach, me personally, and also there will be, if you have some sort of mascot or name for your bot, that will actually induce some oxytocin in the user's brain, which means that they will actually form a little bond with your application, which means that they will choose you over your competitor, if we just look at it that way. But it's always nice to be able to call them by the name. I feel a little weird saying, okay, Google, do this. I feel a little better when I can say, hey, Cortana, or Alexa. But that's me personally.
So those types of questions, there's a terminology for it. I forget what it is.
Invocation name?
Yeah, no, those types of invocation. There are commands that you give it. Can you have conversations with the AI?
Yeah, there are conversational AI voice user interfaces. Conversations is a big topic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everybody is having a conversational bot. Most of them are not, I would say. We are doing great progress in that area, but for now, most of them are just a series of one-offs that you are putting together, which we stitch together as a conversation. And also you need to say, whatever you say to your bot, for instance, Alexa, you would have to say, Alexa, what's the weather like today? And then they answer, and I need to say, Alexa, does that mean I need an umbrella? So I need to use that invocation name all the time, which also takes away from the conversation.
Doesn't feel natural at all.
No, it doesn't. But even if you disregard that, there are a few exceptions. There are actually both Google, Cortana, and Alexa does have some conversations going on. For instance, if you buy something on Amazon, and the week after you want to buy the same thing, you ask Alexa to put it in your cart, and she will say, okay, I remember you bought this brand last week. Do you want me to buy that particular brand? So she will actually remember that you bought that before. And that is the main thing. You need to know, you need to remember what you have had for conversations earlier that day, or even month and week before. Otherwise, you can't keep the context. Wouldn't be so fun if we had a discussion and I tell you, oh, I went to this nice place the other day and it was amazing. And you say, oh, I have always want to go. And I'm like, I'm free in an hour. And you say, what? I don't understand. I mean, that's not a conversation if you all of a sudden have forgotten everything we were talking about. So right now, they're not conversational, but we're getting there.
We're getting there soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in context, just around user experience, when you're chatting with the bot, if you're booking, like a movie tickets, so there's a movie bot, whatever, I'm booking tickets to see the next superhero movie, and it comes back and says, okay, do you want to confirm? Do you want to book the tickets? Confirm, yes or no? And I'm thinking to myself, well, what time did I book for? I don't know. How would you handle it?
a good way, if you have the possibilities, is to use visuals as a support for that, because when you're booking movie tickets with your friends, sometimes you're debating whether you want to go to the 7 o'clock or the 9 o'clock movie, or which day you are going to. So all of a sudden you have all these different dates. So when the bot comes back and says, do you want me to buy these for you, you don't know which time you actually booked sometimes. But if you have visuals as well, so if there is a screen you can show them on, you can show all the seatings, what date it is. You can even have a little picture of the movie, so you will understand directly, okay, this is correct. I can press order here, or I can press cancel because I saw they booked the next My Little Pony movie or something. So visuals is a very powerful tool if you have the possibility.
If you have it.
Yeah, and also some of the devices that are screenless, like the Amazon Echo Dot, for instance, it can actually stream visuals to another device. So you can stream it to your Fire, for instance, or things like that. So there are ways to get around visuals if you don't have them as well.
Or if you've got it open on your phone.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do that. Yeah.
Exactly.
So with a voice UI, you kind of think, oh, well, it's so easy. Everyone can talk. Are there other accessibility concerns to be worried about?
Oh, yes, of course. We have speech impediments. So we have hearing disabilities and all of those things, which, of course, is a problem. But there's also the other way around. We have people who are more comfortable to actually speak. So we have both sides. We have both pros and cons when it comes to accessibility. Some people are not comfortable speaking on the phone, for instance. And if you saw Google I/O's keynote, there was this assistant who called to a restaurant booking a table, or even the hairdresser, I think. And they did so beautifully. And that will help so many people who have anxiety issues or other stuff. But yes, there will be issues with disabilities if you have a speech impediment and they can't understand you. So it's important to try it out. Always test your product. Send it to everyone. Send it to your mother. Send it to your kid. They are really good testers, actually, children, because they will not have any predefined issues or things around your bot. They will just go for it. So test it out.
So this type of thing it's real, like we've said before, it's easily accessible for children. They get it. They're going to be used to it soon.
Yeah.
Are there implications for us using it now?
Well, there was an incident where there was a little girl who loved Alexa, a little like your daughter talking to Google, and she loved to play around with it. And she one time said, "Hey Alexa, do you want to play dollhouse with me and get me a dollhouse?" And lo and behold, the next day there's a humongous dollhouse. I mean, this was the dollhouse you wanted at the door waiting for her. So she accidentally put in an order for that. Luckily, Amazon has actually fixed that problem, because what children has is their vocal cords aren't fully developed yet, which means that their confidence when you look at it from a machine's point of view will be much lower. So if we just look at the confidence threshold, children will not be able to do that sort of things if you actually look at it. So we're getting there. We're getting safer. So children can't order things out of the blue anymore. So that's nice. That's good.
Yeah. So a lot of the things we've talked about are user experience.
Yes.
You're into user experience as well. You're doing another talk at NDC about user experience.
I am.
About the tenants and traps cards.
Yes. No. I love that system. Because in UX, and I mean, designing for speech is basically user experience. There is not that much difference. You just have to think differently when it comes to that. But I realized back when Windows Phone came out that I fell head over heels in love with Metro design language. That is what called back then. And I realized that what I actually liked about it was the user experience. It was so easy to understand. My mother, who was very untechnical at the time, could handle that interface like nothing was ever any problem. And she was so untechnical, so she could call me when my brother changed the theme color of XP, saying that all her games were gone, but they weren't. They were right there, but they had changed the color. So I loved it because of the user interface, and that's when I realized that this is for me. And when it comes to UX, there are a lot of studies. There has been research done for over 100 years. Granted, not for computer interfaces, but there are so many similarities. I think maybe 90%, 95% of them is the same thing, basically. And there are also over 100, 150 laws and what have you, principles for UX. And that is kind of a lot to process. And all these amazing books, don't get me wrong, they are amazing. They are talking a little bit different. They are using different kinds of vocabulary, but they mean basically the same thing. So there was two guys, Michael Medlock and Steve Herbst, which I've had the fortune to actually sit down with. I'm so grateful. They realized this, and they started to analyze what they were trying to say, the essence of each book, and what are they trying to do. And they translated that into a set of a deck of cards, basically. Yeah. So much the same way as we have principles for development, we can boil that down into the solid principles, for instance. This is the same thing, but for UX. So you have a bunch of tenets, as they call them, good things, good attributes to have in a user interface. And then they have also traps, which is bad things that can degrade that same tenet, the good thing about that. So it's a very systematic and logical way to look at UX, which I like very much.
So how do they actually work? Because the UX is a very complex topic.
Yeah.
Like I'm a developer. I can, when I'm using an application, I inherently know, yes, this is good, this is bad. I can't say exactly what it is about it that is good or bad. I just know that it is good or bad. Yeah. So how are these cards going to help me?
Oh, they're speaking plain English.
Yep.
They will tell you what is good, what is bad, and why it's bad, and how to remove that badness from your UI in plain English. So how you would work with it is you sit down, and much like when you are doing your chatbot, you think about what is the main focus of my app. Okay, so I'm an Instagram app. The main focus is to share a picture. That's what you do on Instagram, right? So you write down every single way you can share an image to Instagram. You can open the app and take a photo from the app, or you can go to your gallery, browse for a picture and share it to the gallery. You can open the camera app and do it from there, and so on. So you walk through all those ways you can do this main thing. And then preferably you don't test your own UI. That's a whole other set of issues, but have your friend test it or your coworker and let them speak out loud. Will be a little weird at first, but you get used to it. Mm-hmm. And listen for things like, I don't see any buttons. That plain English, I don't see a button. Then you go back and look at the cards and you see, okay, something is invisible. So either you have a button in your UI, which means that this is effectively invisible because you didn't understand that was a button. And then you have that card and you can put that to the side. And then you continue, listen for sentences like, this is slow, or wow, that was fast, which is a good thing. And then you can little by little, you will have your cards of traps, which you can then fix. So you get a backlog from it.
Okay.
If you, for any reason, don't remember what a certain trap is, they have an example on the backside. So you will have a short descriptive sentence or two on the front, which says, if you're off design language or things are not aligned, the trap is unattractive appearance, which drags down beautiful. which is one of the tenets. And then you will have an example on the backside, so you can actually remember it, which is super handy because you can't possibly, especially as a developer, you don't get the time and means to read up on all these hundreds of years of studies and the laws and the principles and all that. There is no time for that. And the question is, should a developer do that? But with these cards, you can just have them beside your computer and you will have a really good UX.
That's great.
Yeah, I love them.
I need to get myself a set of those cards. So you distribute the cards, I hear. Do you find that people, as soon as they get the cards, they become instantly more, UX productive?
Oh yes, definitely. It's like an aha moment for many of the people. Damn it, this is recorded. I don't want him to know this. My husband, he was, let's say, I was only kidding. He's
in the audience, you can hear.
Yeah, I know. He's going to record this and put it on internet. He was, let's say, UX challenged when we met. There was some issues with his user interfaces in the beginning. And even if he thought he was done, there was always something. And then he got a hold of these cards, and now he's actually more or less the UX lead in his developer.
A big turnaround.
Oh yeah, big turnaround. It's amazing. You can see him when he goes through there. They're just redesigning a web page for his at his work, and you can see him going through everything and like, no, this shouldn't be here because it will be distracting, and it should be here because people are used to having the save button on this side, and that's habituating, and that is a good thing. So he has picked up that really, really fast. So it's easy to pick up.
It's awesome. So we've talked about speech, we've talked about UX. AI, the only other thing I can think of is, are we going to be in the world of Tay.ai in the future, or
oh, yeah.
Is it going to be a lot safer than that?
Yeah, Tay. For those of you who don't know who Tay.ai was, that was Microsoft's bot that they put into the world of Twitter for it to learn from conversations it would have with other users, Twitter users. But they didn't think things completely through, because people on the internet is sometimes less than nice, and that is what happened. Within 24 hours, they had to pull the bot because it became, I don't know how to put this in a nice word, less than nice and flat out racist in 24 hours because it was learning from people, trolls on Twitter. With that said, there has been, which is also Microsoft was behind that, another bot which was really successful in China. I'm not sure about the name. I'm trying to find that out, but it's difficult for me to read Chinese. But they did, in China is huge, and they have different types of languages or versions of the language, and they also have, the sentences is built up differently depending on where you live. So that is a huge problem with speak recognitions and things like that. But what they did was consumed a lot of books and lyrics and stuff like that. I think there was a lot of romantic books as well. So nice books. Yeah. And then they released that into the world, and it could have real conversations with basically all the Chinese people. So they were very, very successful. So it goes to say that it's very important that you actually think things through when you're planning out your bots. But yeah, I think we will have a lot of those.
So the fundamentals of UX apply. It doesn't matter what if it's vocal, if it's graphic, if it's speech, or if it's anything like. The fundamentals are the fundamentals. Yes. You need to get them right. Yeah,
exactly. And that is something we sometimes forget as developers, that this isn't about the next release. It isn't about my humongous backlog. This is about the user. We are doing this for the user. So that is a good thing. There is actually an end user.
That's great. So how about we open the floor up? Are there any questions?
So 15, 20 years ago, what we're hearing about bots, IVR was all the thing. So 15, 20 years ago, we could call into a company's phone number and you'd get a nice navigation with an IVR, and it replaced people picking up the calls and routing calls. Is what we're seeing with bots now, you could say, the natural extension of, or the evolution of these IVR systems, or are we going to see bots evolve to beyond the point where they're being able to answer heavily curated timelines and questions and paths and being more free form? Will bots get to that stage?
I think so, yes. The short answer is I think so. Because we have, it is like you say, for now it's still just FAQ basically. But what you have the ability to do with machine learning and the services out there today, I think IBM, for one, have a service where you can feed it if you have a call center, and you can feed it with your current FAQ if you have any. You can feed it all the transcripts from the calls you have had. You can feed it documents that you have already in the company. And even questions and stuff like that as well. And then you feed it into that machine, and it will look and analyze that and come up with even more questions and answers from that you might have missed. Because if you are in a call center and you get a question that you deem not important, like when do you open, or how much is your service, you might miss those small questions that is asked very often, but you dismiss them because they don't seem important to you. Those will be picked up with from the AI in that part. And I think that they are evolving at a really fast pace. I mean, the human error rate is 6%, but the bots are already up to 5.1%. So I think it will be better and better, and the way they can analyze things is so much faster than us humans can do. With that said, I don't think we will be out of a job. I just think if it's a data-heavy thing that can be, we can free the people to do what they are best at and let the machines do what they are best at instead. So we will have other jobs than maybe talk on the phone.
Okay, so the next question might seem a bit silly, but how far off do you think we are on bots being conscious?
Oh gosh, yeah, interesting question.
And being able to demand pay rises, more CPU cycles,
more idle time,
yeah,
more compute time. Yeah.
Are we going to get to a point where the AI evolves to a point where, like you're saying, it's going to learn more, it's going to start asking questions that we didn't think to feed it, and it will ultimately start asking more questions that are outside of the scope of what it's been assigned or programmed to do?
Yeah, we tried that ever since 1956 or 59, I can't remember. We tried that. They were trying to do a thinking machine, a machine that thinks for itself, but we are not there yet. We still have to program the computers, and I think one of the problems we have is bias. Someone needs to feed it data, and no matter how unbiased we try to be, we still have a little bias. So I'm not sure when the uprise will be, but for now, be kind to your bots, so they won't come for you first, I would say. Yeah, Skynet is not here yet, but any day now.
Don't overtax your VMs right now.
And say please and thank you to your bots.
Of course.
I actually got called out once for that during a talk, because you saw my talk. I have an example of a conversation with a bot, and I say thank you and please, and someone raised their hands and said, I can't believe that you are actually this polite to your bots. I think you're just putting it up there. I'm like, no, I do say thank you. I know that Alexa has stopped listening, but I will still say thank you, because they will come for me last.
I had to look at the, I think it was dialogue flow, and there's an option to ignore pleasantries.
Yeah.
I thought that was a bit rude, but...
Yeah, I don't know. There is no need. And I think there is another aspect to being nice to your bots as well. I know it's just a bot, but if you get used to being rude or short to your bots, all of a sudden your conversation with humans will be the same way. So why not treat them well?
Comes back to Star Trek a bit, being nice to Data, so
exactly.
he doesn't become lore.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So this has been a great time. Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you.
This is Matthew Wicks. I'm signing off for SSW TV. You have a great day.